Denmark sells an image: bicycles, trust, equality. So here's the question that shouldn't make sense. Why did Europe's center-left build one of Europe's toughest immigration frameworks? Not the far right, not a fringe party, the Social Democrats. And once you see why they did it, you'll understand why this logic is spreading. If you think this story is just compassion versus cruelty, you'll miss the mechanism. Denmark treated immigration like a systems problem, a question of incentives, neighborhoods, schools, and the math of a welfare state. And the twist is this: their toughest policies weren't sold as nationalism. They were sold as protection. Protection of what? The thing Denmark values more than almost anything: social trust. Denmark is small, about 6 million people. A country that learned, historically, that survival depends on cohesion. During World War II, Denmark was occupied. And in 1943, when Danish Jews were threatened with deportation, an underground effort formed. Ordinary people turned resistance into logistics. Boats, night crossings, Sweden. More than 7,000 were saved. Not because they were others, because they were seen as part of the community. That instinct became the spine of the post-war model: education, healthcare, safety nets. A welfare state that works only if most people keep playing by the rules. By the 1960s, Denmark had something economists envy: a highly cohesive society with a strong shared civic culture, high trust in institutions, high expectation of fairness, and high compliance with the rules. That creates a loop. People pay in, the system catches you when you fall, and you get back up. From the outside, it looks like compassion. From the inside, it's a machine. And machines have tolerances. Then prosperity created a new problem: Denmark needed workers. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, Denmark recruited foreign labor, often described at the time as guest workers. The assumption was simple: they fill the jobs locals don't want, and then they go home. But history doesn't care what a policy assumes. Because once people build a life somewhere, the question shifts from work to belonging. And in the decades that followed, migration shifted. From labor mobility to humanitarian inflows tied to conflicts abroad. The profile of arrivals changed, and the integration challenge changed with it. And crucially, communities formed concentrated, not evenly spread. By the 1990s, immigration stopped being marginal. And Denmark's design matters here. Because housing and labor markets cluster people naturally, integration challenges became concentrated too, in specific neighborhoods, in specific schools, in specific job markets. Then the welfare machine met friction. Employment outcomes diverged. Language barriers, credential recognition, weaker networks. And in a high-benefit system, long gaps outside the labor market create political pressure fast. Schools became the second alarm. In certain neighborhoods, teachers described classrooms where Danish wasn't the common home language, and where integration became the dominant daily workload. By the early 2000s, immigration became the central political issue. A center-right coalition tightened rules. Asylum, family reunification, benefits, residency requirements. But the deeper shift wasn't legal. It was philosophical. A new idea entered the mainstream. Social cohesion is finite. And then Denmark did something most countries fail at. The left didn't just accept the new consensus. They absorbed it and made it normal. Because if you're a social democrat in Denmark, the argument writes itself. No cohesion, no trust. No trust, no welfare state. This is where Denmark stops looking like a debate and starts looking like a toolkit. In 2010, the government introduced what became known as the Ghetto List, a formal designation tied to criteria like employment, education outcomes, and crime statistics. It was controversial precisely because it linked integration to measurable indicators, and then treated neighborhoods like variables you can manage with thresholds. Behind the tougher policies was a fiscal argument. Because a welfare state survives only if most people keep contributing more than they take out. And once fiscal analyses entered the public debate, the conversation shifted. Less morality, more arithmetic. Security concerns became part of the story too. In some hotspots, media reporting and local accounts described recurring incidents and higher police presence. And that amplified the public perception that integration wasn't working evenly across the country. Then, 2015 hit, Europe's migration crisis. For Denmark, the pressure was not only humanitarian, it was structural. And this is the part many outsiders misunderstand. The Social Democrats didn't reverse the tough line when they returned. They normalized it. They argued strict rules weren't a betrayal of solidarity. They were the condition for keeping solidarity politically alive. In other words, close the door to keep the house standing. Denmark didn't become strict because it stopped caring. It became strict because it decided trust was more fragile than optimism. And once a country builds policy around protecting social cohesion, it almost never goes back.